Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Championship Day. We have the Select Talent Division 2 National Title on the line. This is our pregame show brought to you by D1 Different and Unique Sports Apparel. But today, with me, we have Drew and Cody. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. What are you guys expecting for tonight in the big battle between C with Colorado and Real Nate at Memphis?
Well, I'm excited for tonight. We have two different teams in today's game. We have Colorado, the high-flying offense, putting up a ton of points, and then we have Memphis, the ground and pound, wear you down. It's going to be a great matchup tonight.
Indeed, it will. I think on Memphis's end, I think they're going to try and slow the game down and control that clock. As we all know, Colorado scored, 100 points last game to get to the national title game. So they want to slow them down and make them play their kind of football.
Yeah, one team's going to want this game to go really fast. The other team is going to want to hit the brakes. But again, just like Reese Bobby said in Talladega Nights, if you ain't first, you're last. So there is going to be some high drama tonight. But again, I just want to welcome everyone to the show. We are extremely excited for tonight's game and the little preview we have. So what we've done is we actually have done something a little different. We have a coaches show where we interviewed our coaches, and but first, before we get into that, let's go through and see how these guys got here. So first, let's take a look at Memphis. Let's see. So again, for those of you who aren't familiar with Select Talent, we have two divisions. Basically, we took the top 32 teams and moved them up to Division 1, where they're playing in conferences that are absolutely stacked. Basically, we tried to balance it out as best we could because college football is inherently unbalanced. So we went off of the college football playoff poll for the last 10 years, so for the total number of appearances. And then when EA brought out their ratings, we did make a couple of tweaks. But Memphis came to us through the Big 12, finished second and lost to Baylor. But let's go through. If you guys want to take us away. Looks like just go through the first game. Looks like they started off against FCS team. Took care of business 83-24. Then rolled right into conference play with a game at TCU. Won that 56-6. Followed by UCF 42-21. I believe that's a conference game as well. They played South Carolina. And won that. They had their first matchup of three with Baylor, and they lost that one at home, 66-42. Then went on to bounce back, taking on West Virginia, 38-10. Cincinnati, 56-35. Absolutely obliterated UAB at 91-30. Wake Forest also AI at 42-37. They played Iowa State in Week 10, won that one 101-56. So don't kid yourself. Memphis can score some points as well. They took an L late in the season against Purdue. That coach is here with us tonight at 56-28 on only their second loss of the season. And then finished up with a home win against Kennesaw State after a couple of byes. So they've been well rested going into this playoff bracket. They went into the Big 12 championship game and took that one on the chin as well. Much like their first meetup with the Bears, they lost that one 56-27. Then they met up with they were good enough. They got the 8 seed out of the 12-team playoff, where they took on the 8-9 game against Washington. Won that one in a thriller, 52-49. Then on Christmas Eve, they took on the Bears for a third time, and evidently the third time's the charm. They won that one in a squeaker, 42-40. And then recently in the semifinal, they took care of Virginia Tech, 30-20, and that game was not as close as the score indicates. Memphis had complete control of that game, and probably can you go up and pull up the stats from the Virginia Tech game? I want to say they held the ball for an exorbitant amount of time. They had 2 5-minute drives. Again, we play on 7-minute quarters. Nope, I think you had it. And then just scroll down. There we go to. You can see the offense going in. They only had 305 yards of total offense. Virginia Tech's 424. But that's not the stat of the game. The stat of the game, if you can go down to the turnovers. This is what Colorado has in place and what they're going to have to go up against. You're looking at the 3 picks they forced, and one of those was a pick 6. They all came at opportune times. They got them points before the half. That's why they have 24. They were down until about the last minute in the second quarter, and then followed that up with the overall time of possession.
Yeah, no, that.
Do they have that at the bottom?
Yeah.
So you can see how they're going to attack. Again, they won the time possession battle as well, even with that quick pick 6. So without further ado, let's go in, and I'm going to go ahead and start with our interview. This is simply Real Nate. All right, Coach Nate, what players have stepped up for you in the playoffs to get you in the position you see yourself in tonight in this big game?
On that. Credit to everyone on the team, but I want to give a special call out to the offensive line and the secondary. Look, a good run game, everybody knows what Mario Anderson can do, but a good run game is nothing without the boys blocking up front. And we've gone up against some formidable talent on the defensive line these past few games here, and we wouldn't have nearly the rushing success we would have had if they weren't killing it up front. So shout out to the offensive line. As far as the secondary goes, we put a real emphasis on winning the turnover battle lately, and you can't win the turnover battle without taking the ball away. So they've been really good as far as getting us some free possessions on that.
All right, and Nate, what about the team makes you think you can win the national championship?
We've been really balanced on the offensive side of the ball, probably the most out of anybody in the playoffs so far, I would guess. One of my favorite coaches to model my schematic and strategy after of is Shane Steichen in the NFL. He has a mantra that goes, you throw to score and you run to win. And that's kind of the approach that we've been taking this past few games. Obviously, we've had some great plays that get us up early in games recently. And once you're up in a game, running the ball is key to kind of kill the clock and maintain the lead. And that's kind of the approach that we've been taking. And that's why I think if we're going to win this game tonight, we have to win the time of possession. And that's going to be a big key for us tonight.
All right, Nate. And with that, what weakness do you think could derail this season in the game tonight specifically?
The answer for me is always going to be turnovers. You cannot expect to win a game while you're losing the turnover battle. Colorado's offense is far too explosive. We cannot be gifting them short fields or, God forbid, free points on a pick 6 if we want to have a shot to win tonight. So the turnovers are always going to be a key, no matter who you're playing against.
All right, that's a good take. And with that, what's given you the most issues this year?
You look at the answer to my previous question, talking about turnovers, and I think that really reigns true in the games that we've struggled with this year. You look at the first two games against Baylor and the other game against Purdue, which are three losses there. Um, Turnovers are really killer. They get you behind in the game, and then they make you sort of one-dimensional. And our whole attitude is to try and be a balanced team. If we get one-dimensional and we fall behind by multiple scores in this game, it's going to be a long night.
All right, and it's been a long season. Again, are there any injuries you're concerned about going into tonight's game?
For tonight's game, anybody that has 2 feet and at least one hand is going to be on the field doing something for us. Nobody's being rolled out. No injuries to report, so that's good. We do have some wear and tear on a few guys that has built up over the course of these playoffs here, but that's going to be true for any team, Colorado included. So there's really no excuses tonight.
All right, and then after this game, how confident are you that you're going to be in the same position coming up next season in Season 2?
We've got quite a few seniors on the team this year, so I'm not going to be disrespectful to them in their final game here. And I also don't want to disrespect Colorado by looking past them in a way toward next year. I really don't think that's good for anybody in this moment. We're focused on tonight, and we'll deal with next year when we get there.
It sounds like a solid way to approach that. And really, again, you have to know that Colorado's coming off a 101-point game. What's your approach to slow down a high-scoring offensive juggernaut at this point that you have with the Shedeur Sanders and the rest of the Colorado Buffaloes?
I think our play style, as far as being balanced and trying to control the clock, is going to be a key in whether we have a shot to win this game tonight or not. Colorado's offense is far too talented to leave them on the field, and we want to have them on the sideline as much as physically possible tonight. When they are on the field, we are doing everything we can to take away everything over the top. If Colorado wants to take some time off the clock and march down the field and dink and dunk, it's going to be open. We're not going to stop them. But the longer that they take on a drive, that just fits our prerogative as far as shortening the game, keeping the game close. So that's going to kind of be the approach that we take tonight.
All right, well, thanks, Nate. We look forward to seeing you on the field. Good luck. Have a great game, and we'll try to wrap this up afterwards. But thanks again. Guys, what do you think about that? What do you think about the Tigers coming up in this game?
I mean, it's really going to be interesting because, like you said, the wear and tear, but also the limiting the turnovers. But will Nate be able to force Shedeur to commit several turnovers? I think that will be the biggest key this game, is if he can commit Shedeur to having 2-3 interceptions. I think that will be very big for tonight.
Yeah, and we saw that in the Pac-12 championship game. We saw Shedeur throw 3 picks, and I think if Memphis was in that situation, they would have come out on top. So really, it's going to come down to Shedeur Sanders and how that offense actually runs. Drew, any take?
Yeah, I think the games are always won in the trenches. How will the offensive line of Colorado match up with Memphis, and how can Memphis control that run game? Because if they can establish the run early, it's going to take more possessions away from Shedeur and that explosive offense. And it's all about that offensive line. If the offensive line can control that line of scrimmage, anything can happen.
All right. Well, let's go through Colorado pretty quickly as we're getting pressed to time. We only have about 15 minutes before this title game is going to kick off. And if someone can message them to try to push that back another 5 minutes, that would help me out immensely, just so we can make sure we're prepped and ready for that game too. But again, let's go through Colorado. Again, they started off against FCS Southeast at 84-13. You can see they put up some big numbers all season. Next game was Stanford 63-21. Washington in a tight one, 55-52. Washington was a playoff team. They trounced Oregon State, picked up a close 4-point win against Boise. So they've had some tight games. Boise State didn't quite make the playoffs this year at 8-5. They had a game against another playoff team, UCLA, finished second in the Pac-12. They won that going away 65-30. They had a relatively easy time with Kennesaw, doubled them up. Easy game against Pitt, who finished at 5-7. A little rebuilding year there for Ant. And then you're looking at Arizona State. They doubled them up, absolutely killed Northwestern. I had a more competitive game against Washington State, and then in a foreshadowing of things to come, absolutely let Hawaii have it. 13-42. Now let's get to the Pac-12 championship game. This was one for the ages. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, we're going to probably post that. The only reason we
You have
didn't
to go watch it.
the only reason we didn't go live is they had commentators over the top, but we watched it live, and it was one for the ages. UCLA had them on the ropes. Shedeur Sanders, 3 pick sixes. Not just interceptions, 3 pick sixes. They brought them all back, and Colorado eked it out in the last minute. I want to say we probably looked at 20 points apiece in the final two. That there was no defense being played in the fourth quarter. Then UCLA got the rematch after that close game in the second round after the Colorado Buffaloes with the first round bye, number 3 overall. They took care of business 75-31. Shedeur zoned in on that one after that scare they had against the Bruins. And then in the semifinals, in the highest scoring game in select talent history, I don't know who had the over at 183. Whoever took the under at 183 was probably going to regret that.
Sorry, go into that game. I want to see the final scores in the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, go to that one real quick. That one deserves a look just because that was that's a lot of points. Not that many first downs either for that many yards. Miami with 825 yards of offense.
Man.
So again, it's that Colorado defense. If you can stop their offense, you have a chance. Colorado was just killing them on the run too. 6.57 a rush. Just all over. No defense to be had. Colorado only had 5 third downs the entire game. They went 0 for 2 on fourth. Converted 2 two-point conversions as well, just to try to rub it in. But yeah, with 86 points in the fourth quarter alone.
That is ridiculous.
That's more points than we saw in the entire Memphis Virginia Tech semifinal. Not many penalties either, so they didn't have the ball long to score 100 points. That's almost 10 points a minute. Yikes. Well, with that said, let's go in, and I'm going to go ahead and start our interview with Coach C. It's YSL-Ceee. And Coach C, what players have stepped up for you in the playoffs to get you in this position here in the title fight against Memphis?
During the playoffs, I would say Shedeur and Travis. I mean, everybody knows them two players they're gonna ball out and do what they always do. But other than the obvious of those two, I would say Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn's been playing lights out. The first game, I think he had 10 catches for 123 and 2 touchdowns. And the second game, he had like 3 for 115 and a touchdown. So Jimmy's been balling for me like crazy. And defensively, Jalen Wester and Preston Hodge, them two guys been flying around making plays all over the place. And Quincy Wiggins too, he's been a monster on the D line.
Yeah, you guys have been putting up some serious numbers. Speaking of that, what about your team makes you think you can win the Natty?
We got the 2 best players in the nation, if you ask me. We got the best quarterback in the nation, and we got Travis, who's the epitome of him. Like, Travis is a dog on here. And the whole team offensively is like super explosive. Like, I don't think it's a weakness at all if you look at the team really on offense. But defensively, that's the only side that you can like raise a question mark to. Like, can we slow down the pass at times? Because sometimes the defense does look like lackluster.
All right. Well, speaking of that defense, is that the weakness you think that, or what do you think could derail your season here tonight?
Like the only thing that can derail the season is defense. Like it's hard to sometimes it's hard to get a stop with these guys. It's hard to get off the field outside of Preston, Quincy, Jalen Western, Travis. Like sometimes it's just like it's hard to come up with some stops and get them guys to be disciplined and do what they do.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough to ask tonight with the Heisman winner coming in on the field. And now, again, what's giving you the most issues this year overall?
Offensively, I would say we started off slow running the ball, but over the end of the season, we started to pick it up and started to get a run game. But defensively, I would say deep ball, like the deep pass, the deep threats. It's hard to come up with stops outside of Travis on that side because everybody else don't have the speed or they just don't have the technique and stuff to get the job done. I've seen BJ McKinney get murdered on deep routes in a bunch of games. And Shiloh just don't have the speed to stay over the top. Over like, intermediate routes and short routes, he's a dog. Like he's gonna read it. But once you like challenge him speed wise, it's a wrap for him after that.
All right, all right, all right. And with that, do you have any injuries that you're worried about going into the title fight?
Not really worried about injuries because we've been pretty much healthy throughout the whole season. But if anybody was to get hurt, like I would hate to see Shadir go down if it was anybody. I feel like any other position, like I can make up for it. But if Shadir was to go down, yeah, it'd be a real struggle.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. Now, after this, how confident are you going to be in the same position in another title hunt next season?
I feel very confident we can get the job done next year. I feel like next year's team will be better than this year's team. I feel like a lot of the high school guys that I got signed and the ones who still like pending and like we were waiting their decisions. I feel like we got a good group of guys coming in. I feel like this just setting like the foundation of what we got building. I feel like I got a freshman quarterback who's gonna come in and probably to me I think he's gonna be the starter. We got receivers coming in to replace Jimmy Horn, Will Shepard, and Travis. We got the corners coming in to be able to run like more of the defensive looks I want to run, and we got the edge rushers and safeties because those I feel like the safeties is a big part of my defensive scheme that I really want to get into next year. So I feel real confident about next year's team.
All right. Well, again, just to follow that up, we know you do have some serious players leaving for the draft, and you know these guys are going to be picked up, especially with Shador and Travis. Um, really, how do you go about trying to fill those holes?
I will say it would be a challenge keeping up with this pace and like getting these guys to play the way this team played. But you just got to have the next man up mentality. Like if you're here, like you're here to play, like you're the ball. We're not getting you here to be a backup or do this and that. Like if you're here, we need you to make plays on the field.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach C. We will see you on the field here momentarily as we are getting closer and closer to kickoff. Guys, any final thoughts? We're going to wrap this show up a little bit early just so we can get in and get set up for the game tonight. Um, Drew, what do you think? What do you think is going to be the keys to tonight's game?
Key to tonight's game is Colorado. They have a squishy defense, and I really think they have to stop Memphis's run game. If they don't do that, Memphis has a good chance to win this game. But if he even just contains that run game, almost like a bend but don't break defense, I just don't see Memphis being able to keep up offensively.
And Corey.
I would say, how well can the corners of Memphis play against the receivers of Colorado? You know, they got to go against who's arguably the best player in college football in Travis Hunter. And then you have Will Shepard, the transfer from Vanderbilt. And you also have Jimmy Horn Jr. So they got some serious speed. They got some dudes. So that's my key, I would say, for Memphis is being able to slow down the pass attack and getting home to the quarterback. and causing some turnovers.
All right, I'm going to start this off by just asking the people that are watching. I know we've got a couple of people on right now. Who you got? Drew, who you got?
As much as I love Memphis and their story of coming up, I cannot bet against Shadur Sanders. And Colorado said it. It is him. H-I-M, Colorado. It is Travis Hunter. It's his show tonight.
Corey, what you got?
All right. I know everybody might be going Colorado. I have been picking against Memphis the entire playoff. But Mario Anderson's going to show why he's the Heisman. And they're going to show what that offensive line can do against that we can call suspect front seven of Colorado. And I believe they're going to run. I'm taking Memphis as long as they can run that ball. I mean, that's really what it's going to depend on. That and them taking up time. But I'm taking Memphis in a close one. I don't see this being over a total over, 70 points.
All right, and well, the way I see it, it comes down to a clash of styles. You've got the bling and Coach Prime being represented tonight by C. They have some dogs on this team. That's a scary team. They put up 101 points against Miami. But not so fast, my friend. You've got the blue-collar Memphis Tigers trying to win one more game, trying to be the first team to go all the way from the play-in round in the playoffs. Won that, won their quarterfinal, won the semifinal. They've been battle-tested, and they have the Heisman winner in their back pocket. As much as Colorado wants to say they have the best players, that's not what's voted on by the people in the Downtown Athletic Club. I think either way we're in for a tight one, but I'm going to take Memphis by 3 or less. This one's going to come down to the last possession. But I thank everyone for joining us. We're going to go ahead and take a quick pause while we get set up for the next game. We're waiting on that link from the teams. And, we're going to look forward to bringing this one to you, too. Guys in the booth, stick with me. I'm going to have another invite out for you as well. And, hey, it's championship night. Let's go.